So in this video, I'm going to show you how I prep for a dinner party. I'm going to show you not only what I'm making, because that's the whole point of a dinner party, but I'm also going to show you a cocktail and a mocktail option, and I'm going to show you how I decorate, some little tips and tricks that I have that are actually, like, you don't necessarily think of them when you're planning a dinner party, but they're game changers and they make a huge, huge difference. And also some little cute little hacks and a dessert, and there's just so much, flowers, so many things in this video that I think you guys are really going to find helpful, so I hope you enjoy it. Up with Purple Carrot to bring you this video because their recipes are 100% plant-based, and I think you guys are really going to love the recipes that I make in this video. While you're watching this video, you're going to want to keep a lookout for little boxes like this one and this one that will indicate that you can easily prep this ahead of time, either the day before or a couple days before, even a week before, because preparation is really what's going to make this easy breezy and fun so that you can be present and enjoy your dinner party. So with all that said, let's get into step number one. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make the perfect table and to have all kinds of fancy plates and fancy accessories and to have everything perfect and matching. And I think that as long as you kind of stick to a really simple color scheme, you can make whatever you have work and look really elegant. So for me, I happen to have blue plates, so I decided to go for a blue and yellow theme, and that way everything else was kind of neutral and a little bit earthy, and that way it kind of really let the blue and the yellow shine. So I recommend picking two colors and kind of planning everything else to be neutral and let that pop. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't necessarily match. You'll see that my plates are actually kind of small. I don't have the super big plates. And that's fine too. You just use what you have and layer. Like I have a actual placemat underneath the plate, and that makes it look larger. It gives the illusion of a larger plate. So I think layers and textures and a simple color scheme is really important. Now, if I've learned anything from working in a restaurant, it's that polishing your silverware is a tiny little touch that makes a huge difference. So I just take some hot water on a kitchen cloth and I will wipe each individual piece of silverware down, and then with the dry side, I'll just kind of rub it until it's nice and shiny and set that by the plate. Small little details make all the difference when entertaining. Another small but very important detail is definitely going to be the lighting. We have harsh overhead lighting, bright lights all the time on regular days and pretty much all day long. So there's something really nice about turning those lights off and putting things like lamps and candles all around and having a warm, soft lighting. It really creates a welcoming environment and a really cozy vibe that's very relaxing. I'll make sure to put the exact candles that I'm using in the description box below. I love having flowers around when I decorate, but it can be really expensive to buy a bunch of different flower bouquets to have all over the house, and that can really add up very, very quickly. So I'm going to show you my hack for taking two very inexpensive bouquets and using them to create lots of smaller flower arrangements that really add a nice sophisticated touch to your dinner party. So since I have a blue and yellow theme, I decided to represent the yellow with some flowers. And to add some bulk, I like to add some greenery. It kind of feels like a neutral, natural element, and it makes it so that you can easily kind of fill up multiple jars without having to buy tons of flowers. So instead of using one big vase in the center, I'm just going to take a couple of water glasses, a couple of little jugs, and I'm going to put the greenery in first in the direction that it naturally bends, facing out. So you can see they kind of fan outwards, and the same thing with the flowers. You see that they naturally kind of tilt a little bit. I think actually that's because, I think it's called tropism. It's because they're like leaning in the direction of the sun. I could be totally wrong. I'll Google that before I post this. But basically the way that they're leaning out is the way you want to place them in whatever jar that you have. And I like to do some like smaller jars that are lower down, and that way you have some shorter centerpieces so that people can see over the centerpiece and actually look at each other and not just at a big tall vase. This is something that people don't necessarily think about, but it's actually very important to make sure that you're using unscented candles when you entertain. I know it seems like you want to have a candle that smells so good, but when you're having a dinner party and you're already cooking very delicious smelling food, it can really compete with the smells of the food and oftentimes give your guests a headache if there's too many different candles and smells swirling around your house or your apartment. So what I recommend is to only have the candles in the room that you're going to be entertaining so that you can keep an eye on everything and you can be really present and not worried about any of the other candles in the house, but also to use flowers and things like diffusers to create a really nice ambiance in other parts of the house, because that is important. And then in the bathroom, I like to add a really nice fragrance and fresh kind of elegant touch by actually putting one of the bouquets of flowers in the bathroom and also using a diffuser. On this day, I used a blend called Happy, which is really citrusy, and lemongrass. I think it's so pretty in the bathroom. So I went ahead and I put the light on, and then I turned the overhead light off in the bathroom. So the only glow was the one coming from the actual diffuser. And again, it creates a really nice ambiance, soft lighting, really fresh and clean and elegant with the flowers and not overdone. You can also do this in other rooms of your house all throughout to make sure that your guests feel really welcome and cozy. Now that your space is beautiful and welcoming for your dinner party, I like to focus on the food. But before that, I always like to offer my guests either a cocktail or a mocktail really right as soon as they come in, because that really gets people feeling comfortable and at home in your home, and it's also just the fun part of a dinner party. So I'm going to show you a cocktail and a mocktail that are incredibly simple, but very elegant and very delicious. Not only are fancy sugary cocktails a recipe for a headache the next day, but they can also be kind of expensive and very difficult to make. So instead, I like to make a beautiful champagne cocktail with just an organic lemon or orange and a regular old veggie peeler. I'll just wash the citrus and then I'll use the veggie peeler to create a twist, because a lot of the flavor and also the fragrance of the orange is going to be in the actual skin. So what I like to do is, with the skin side down, I'll just kind of run the actual rind along the rim of the glass and then give it a twist directly over the glass so that all of the orange oils and essence can go into the glass and therefore flavor the champagne slightly with a nice bright citrus flavor and also make it really fragrant and fresh. This is a great way to add a little bit of flavor. It also looks really beautiful, but we're not adding any extra sugar and we're not having to buy a bunch of different ingredients. If you're looking for a non-alcoholic option that's still kind of fizzy and festive, I recommend just getting some sparkling water, make it really, really nice and cold like the champagne, and then drop in some fresh mint leaves or some lemon slices. Or, and again, because I really think that the small details are what your guests are really going to remember, you can make some custom ice cubes. So all I do is I'll just take some fresh mint, and I like to take the smaller leaves and I'll just place them into an ice tray along with some little wedges of lime. You can mix and match herbs and basil and different kinds of citrus, whatever you like, and store this in the freezer. Now, of course, you can do this the night before. You could even do this up to like a month before, as long as you keep the finished ice cubes in a bag or in a glass container with a lid so that they're nice and sealed. You can keep these in the freezer for a super long time. And this is the kind of detail that really impresses your guests. They're like, wow, you thought of everything, so cool. And no one really has to know how easy it is. It's a super simple thing that you can do to create a really elegant and special mocktail. Now, for a dinner party, you may have a million other things to think about, so I actually like to take my purple carrot box and make all of the recipes in it and serve that as a kind of dinner party spread for my guests. So the first thing I'm going to be making is a warm stone fruit salad with coriander, lentils, and avocado. I feel like that already just sounds so fancy and a little bit extra for a dinner party, but your friends are going to be so impressed and they won't know that it was super easy and all of the ingredients were literally just shipped to your house and you followed an easy step-by-step recipe. So the recipe is actually in the description box below, courtesy of Purple Carrot. They wanted to make sure that you could follow along and make these recipes at home. And the first step is just to cut up some ginger and garlic. We saute that with a little bit of coriander and then add black lentils and water. Bring that up to a boil, let it simmer, and while that cooks, we're gonna go ahead and prep the other ingredients for the salad. They send you the peach that you need, the greens that you need, the avocado, and so I'm just following the directions here, slicing up the peaches. And I'm going to take the rib out of the greens just because this can be a little bit tough if you're eating it raw, and I'll just use my knife to kind of cut along the side of the rib. Then I'm just going to layer the leaves on top of each other and roll them up so that I can slice these chiffonade style, which sounds fancy, but it just means in really thin ribbons. I find that the smaller and thinner that you cut tough greens like this, the more enjoyable it is to eat. Also, all of the ingredients come pre-measured, but you don't need to throw these little bottles away. I often put these in my lunchbox for salad dressing, or I use them as shampoo bottles when I'm traveling. There's no need to waste the really cool little containers that you get with these boxes. Anyway, so that was champagne vinegar. It goes into the salad bowl, and we're gonna massage the greens with a little bit of salt and pepper, and this is gonna kind of break them down. It'll make them really nice and bright green, and then I'm gonna add those to a large serving bowl and create kind of a hole in the center so that I can put the warm lentils right in the center. Then we've got these nice summery peach slices. I decided to arrange them in kind of a pretty way because, again, it's a dinner party, so plating is part of the fun and really a creative part of the whole process. It gets some chopped toasted hazelnuts on top, some really delicious sweet and tart cherries, a little sprinkle of salt and pepper, and I actually put the avocado on the side because, believe it or not, there are people in the world who don't like avocado. I don't know why, but you can kind of customize these recipes to suit your friends or family's preference. So I served that on the side along with the extra lentils, and this was an incredibly beautiful and flavorful salad, especially the ginger and the black pepper and the peaches, so good. Next up, I made some Baja fish bowls that came in my purple carrot box. This is something I'm definitely going to be making again because it was so good. So the first thing that I did was I cooked the quinoa, something you can definitely do a day or two before. And while that cooked, I went ahead and made a little aioli with some of the ingredients that they sent me. So this is just a bit of fresh lemon juice, some salt, and vegan mayonnaise. Once that was ready, I went ahead and I made the batter for, well, I guess the fish, quote unquote. So for this, you just need rice flour, cornstarch, and some taco seasoning and water. All you do is you're just going to stir this all together until it creates a really thick batter, and the cornstarch is going to create that really nice fish, like almost like a fried fish type of texture. And instead of using fish, obviously, we're going to be using hearts of palm, which is a really, really wonderful seafood alternative. So you're just going to kind of smush them down, coat them in the batter, and then lightly pan fry them for a few minutes on each side until they're golden brown. And whenever you're frying something, you want to make sure that you put it onto a paper towel to absorb some of the extra oil. And then right away, like right when they're still hot, you want to season them generously with sea salt because once they're cool, the salt will kind of just fall right off them. So you want to sprinkle that. And then instead of doing individual bowls, I decided to lay the quinoa out on a pretty platter because, again, this is for a dinner party. And then I added some sliced almonds and the really delicious cilantro sauce that came with the box. So I'm going to drizzle that on top, add some of the really thinly chopped red cabbage, which adds a really nice crunch and also kind of a peppery note, which was really nice alongside the battered hearts of palm. The instructions say to drizzle the aioli on top, but since I was serving this to guests, I decided to put it in little bowls on the side so that it would look really pretty and have kind of a wow factor with the presentation. And as you can see, the outside is really crispy and flaky, and the inside is kind of firm and has like a salty sweetness that seafood really does have. It's such a crazy combination. I like a little lemon on this too. It was so good. And finally, I made the smoky portobello tacos with jalapeno cashew sauce and Spanish rice. This was one of my favorite recipes I've had in a very long time, and it's super easy. So all you do is you toast the Spanish rice and you add some water, let that cook, and then you take the cashews that come in your box and you just add some hot water on top of them so that they soften for a few minutes. Meanwhile, I just went ahead and I prepped all the veggies that came in the box. So we have these beautiful portobello mushrooms, which are going to be the main part of the taco. So I sliced those up, and then here's a really cool little trick anytime you're cutting a vegetable like a radish and you want to get little matchsticks. So what you're going to do is you're just going to kind of slice it and then reassemble it all back together, almost like it never was sliced, and then cut that in half so you can lay it down flat. And I just slice little sticks, and as you can see, these are really tiny little matchsticks that are perfect for sprinkling on top of tacos because you get a little tiny bit in each bite and nothing is too overpowering. Other ingredients in these tacos are fresh limes, some jalapeno and cilantro. I just basically put all of that on a plate, and then I made the cashew jalapeno sauce. For this, you just take the water that the cashews were soaking in along with the cashews. I'm gonna add a little bit of the jalapeno, I did not add the whole thing, and some lime juice and some salt. Super, super easy. And then I just blended this up until it was nice and smooth and creamy. And this on top of the tacos with all the other flavors was so divine. So this best part of this whole recipe, of all the recipes I think I made in this box, was this trick that I learned right here. All you do is you just take your mushrooms, you put a little oil in the pan, and then you let them sit undisturbed for 5 minutes. That way they can really brown and release their moisture and get really, really flavorful and caramelized. Then you add some tamari and a little tiny bit of liquid smoke, and that's gonna create this really hearty, meaty, flavorful, kind of sweet and smoky mushroom that is unfreaking believable. You guys, you are going to love these tacos. Then you just take the cooked Spanish rice, you put them onto a tortilla along with the smoky mushrooms, the crunchy radish, and some cabbage, and then you just sprinkle with your scallion and drizzle on your sauce. And these are so bright and colorful and flavorful. I was blown away with all of these dishes, and as you can see, when you put them all together like this, they look really impressive and gorgeous for your dinner party. Like I said, Purple Carrot was nice enough to share these recipes with you guys, so they are fully written out step by step in the description box below, so you can make these at home, along with a link for you guys to try Purple Carrot, because as you can see, the recipes are kind of restaurant quality. They look really fancy and they're super beautiful. Now the Purple Carrot menu book does have a really cool dessert option, so I think I'm definitely going to be making that at some point, but I wanted to show you a really great way to use up the orange that we used for the mocktails, because nothing needs to go to waste in the kitchen. So what I like to do is just slice the orange kind of thick, and then using a paring knife, I'm just going to cut around the actual fruit and separate the rind. That way we have these really pretty discs of orange that look a little bit like flowers. And then I always try to keep some kind of baked good, a cake or a loaf cake or something, in the freezer. This is a definite place where you can take a little help from the grocery store, stock up on these, keep them in your freezer, and then the night before, pull them out. You can serve this warm or chilled. And then what I like to do is just take some vegan ice cream and then place the citrus all along the sides of the cake. And then because we have the mint from the drinks already, I'm gonna go ahead and add that to the dessert as well. It just adds a beautiful pop of color and really elevates the dish to make it look fancy. Then another thing, and a super important step, is just to lightly sprinkle a little bit of chunky sea salt. This is another thing that's really going to elevate this semi-homemade dessert that actually is super easy. You're really just assembling rather than cooking, which I think is really handy when you're entertaining. You don't want to be in the kitchen the whole time, you know, away from your friends, but this looks really special and it tastes delicious. Like I said at the start of this video, there's a lot more information about prepping and planning in the description box, so hopefully it will help make your next dinner party really easy and stress-free and enjoyable. And I also included a link to try Purple Carrot in the description box below, because whether you don't like to cook at all or you're like me and you cook a lot, I really think you'll find a lot of value in trying Purple Carrot, because it really introduces you to tons of new ingredients and flavors and cooking styles, like that liquid smoke that I used for the mushrooms. So cool, something I've never tried before, and it always kind of keeps you feeling really excited about the food that you're eating. They're now offering a new 6-person meal plan and the option to add breakfast and lunch to your box, so there's lots of new ways that you can incorporate Purple Carrot into your life and eat more veggies, eat more vegan food. I would love to know what your entertaining tips are, so let me know in the comments below. And I would also love to know what your favorite tip from this video was, because it's always fun to see what you guys find helpful and why. It just helps me make better videos for you. I hope you have so much fun hosting a dinner party at your house sometime soon. Yes? Yes? I think you should. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you in a video very soon. Oh, subscribe. I always forget to say that. Subscribe, please, and hit the bell. Okay.